All right, future civil servants. Ready for today's deep dive into current affairs.
Absolutely. We've got a lot to unpack today, from politics to volcanoes.
And even a surprising fact about squirrels. I'll have to wait for that one. But let's get started with something crucial for those UPSC prelims. The role of the governor. We've had some recent news about new appointments and reshuffles, so it's especially relevant now.
Right. It's so important to understand that the governor is the head of a state, appointed by the president. They really ensure that the state government runs smoothly.
So they kind of act like a bridge between the central government and the state.
Exactly. And over the years, we've had several Supreme Court judgments that have helped clarify the governor's role and powers.
I bet those judgments are a gold mine of information for the UPSC.
Oh, absolutely. Like the S.R. Balmy case back in 1994, that was a landmark case. It really helped define the governor's discretionary powers, especially when it comes to dismissing a state government.
Wow, that's a pretty big responsibility.
It is. So aspiring civil servants, pay attention. These landmark judgments and the nuances of the governor's role are essential knowledge.
So in a nutshell, the governor's role is all about maintaining that balance between the Constitution, the central government, and the state government.
Precisely. And with these recent appointments, it's something you'll want to keep a close eye on.
Makes sense. Now, how about we shift gears from politics to something a bit more, well, explosive? Let's talk volcanoes. Specifically, Kilauea in Hawaii. It's erupting again.
It seems like it's always putting on a show, doesn't it?
It does. But on a serious note, what makes Kilauea so unique?
Well, for one, it's one of the most active volcanoes on the planet. And it's a shield volcano. That means it has a very broad, gently sloping profile. It's formed by layers and layers of lava flows over a very long time. Imagine a giant molten pancake spreading out slowly.
Okay, I can picture that. And I remember reading somewhere that Kilauea is super important in Hawaiian mythology, right?
Absolutely. It's believed to be the home of Pele, the goddess of fire and volcanoes, so every time it erupts, it's seen as a display of her power. And, this volcano has a history. I mean, we're talking near continuous activity between 1983 and 2018.
Wow, that's a long time. So for someone preparing for the UPSC, what's the key takeaway here?
Well, shield volcanoes, like Kilauea, are known for their effusive eruptions. The lava flows pretty gently from these vents and fissures. It's more like rivers of molten rock, not those crazy explosive blasts you see in the movies.
So no raining fire and brimstone then?
Not exactly, but you do get some unique features, like the summit caldera. That's a massive depression formed by the collapse of the volcano's summit. And then there are these rift zones, long cracks that radiate out from the summit. That's where most of the eruptions actually happen.
It's amazing how these forces shape our planet. Now, I know India might not have a Kilauea, but we do have our own share of volcanic features, don't we?
Of course. We have Barren Island in the Andaman Islands. That's India's only active volcano. And then there's the Deccan Traps, which is a huge volcanic plateau formed millions of years ago. They're both fascinating reminders of Earth's dynamic past. The planet is always changing.
Definitely. All right, let's travel from the fiery landscapes of volcanoes to the lush forests of the Western Ghats.
Ah, yes. Home to the amazing lion-tailed macaque. Have you ever seen one? They're so unique.
I haven't, but I've seen pictures. That lion-like tail and the gray mane are incredible.
They're truly a symbol of India's incredible biodiversity. And you know what? They're endemic to the Western Ghats. That means you won't find them anywhere else in the world.
That's amazing. And that makes them a flagship species for conservation efforts in India.
Exactly. Unfortunately, they're endangered. There's a new study that's highlighting a growing concern.
What's that?
Well, it's the increasing interaction between humans and wildlife. As we keep expanding into their habitat, we see more and more encounters, which can be bad news for the macaques. Conflict and disease transmission are real threats.
It's a constant challenge, isn't it? Balancing our development with the need to protect these incredible creatures.
It is. But there are some promising initiatives in place, things like habitat restoration, community-based conservation programs, and stricter enforcement against poaching. We all have a role to play in making sure these macaques survive.
Absolutely. We can't forget that every species has a part to play in the ecosystem. Okay, let's zoom out from India for a moment and look at something with global implications, Greenland.
Greenland. That seems a little out of the blue.
I know, right? But international relations are always a hot topic for the UPSC. And there's been some recent news that's causing quite a stir.
You're talking about U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's renewed interest in purchasing Greenland.
That's the one. It sounds like something out of a movie.
It does. But it's not a new idea. Greenland's strategically important to the USA, and it goes way back to the Cold War.
Because of its location.
Exactly. It's home to the Pacific Space Base. That's a really important asset for monitoring potential missile threats.
Ah, so it's all about defense.
Well, it's not just about defense. Greenland is also packed with rare earth minerals. They're essential for everything, from smartphones to military tech. And with global warming causing the Arctic ice to melt, new shipping routes are opening up. That makes the whole region even more strategically valuable.
So the U.S. wants to secure its interests in the Arctic, but buying an entire country, that's a bold move.
It is. There are so many things to consider. The political, economic, and ethical implications are huge. You have to ask yourself, can one country just buy another? What happens to the people who live there, their autonomy, their culture?
It's a really complex situation with no easy answers. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We were just talking about some unexpected behavior in the animal kingdom.
Oh, yeah. Those squirrels, not as innocent as they seem.
Right. Turns out they're not always sticking to nuts and berries. California ground squirrels, they're actually pretty opportunistic.
Meaning?
They've been observed hunting. And not just hunting, actually killing and eating voles.
Or voles.
Yeah, those little rodents that share their habitat. The researchers actually saw this behavior a lot, not just a one-off thing.
Wow. It really shows how much we still don't know about the natural world, huh? Even something as familiar as a squirrel can surprise us.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, what else are we missing? This discovery could change how we understand food webs, even entire ecosystems.
It's a good reminder to never stop questioning, right? Speaking of questioning, how about we dive into a completely different world? Archaea. Ever heard of them?
Ah, archaea, the ancient things. They're like the ultimate survivors.
Right.
Single-celled microorganisms, but they live in some of the harshest environments on Earth. Imagine scorching hot springs, super acidic pools, even the bottom of the ocean.
They sound pretty tough. Tough is an understatement. And get this, they even live inside us, in our guts. Don't worry, these ones are harmless.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
But why are we talking about archaea? What makes them so important?
Well, some archaea are actually super beneficial. We're talking potential applications in all sorts of things, from new antimicrobial molecules to even treating wastewater.
That's impressive.
There's been some really interesting research lately about how they survive in such extreme conditions. It turns out they have these things called toxin antitoxin systems, or TA systems.
Toxin, antitoxin. Sounds a bit dangerous.
It's actually a brilliant survival mechanism. It helps them adapt. Let me give you an example. Cephalobus acidicaldarius. This archaean lives in India on Barren Island in those super hot volcanic pools. The temperatures there are crazy. Most organisms couldn't handle it.
How do they survive?
They've got this VapeBC4 TA system. When things get too hot, the VapeBC4 toxin basically shuts down protein production. Think of it like a pause button.
To stop them from overheating.
Exactly. It's a way to conserve energy and protect themselves from making damaged proteins. It also leads to these persister cells, which are dormant cells that can wait it out until conditions improve. Like they have their own little bomb shelters.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, thinking about the UPSC, what can we learn from these tiny extremophiles?
Archaea show us just how diverse life can be. They push the boundaries of what we thought was possible. It makes you think, could there be life in other extreme environments, even on other planets?
That's a great point. They can help us understand the potential for life beyond Earth. Okay, enough about the ancient world. Let's fast forward to something cutting edge. Quantum computing.
Quantum computing, yes. It's a field that's really taking off, and India's right there in the mix. IBM did a study that showed a huge surge in interest in quantum computing in India. Students, developers, universities, everyone's getting involved.
It's exciting, but I'll be honest, it can sound a bit intimidating if you're not a physicist.
It can be, but it's all about understanding the basics. Here's the thing. Classical computers, the ones we use every day, they use bits, which can be a 0 or a 1. Quantum computers, they use qubits. And qubits can be 0, 1, or both at the same time.
Well, at the same time, how does that even work?
It's a quantum mechanics thing, a bit mind-boggling, called superposition. Imagine a spinning coin. It's both heads and tails until you stop it and look. That's kind of like a qubit in superposition. And then there's entanglement. That's when two qubits get linked together, no matter how far apart they are.
So if you change one, the other changes instantly, like some kind of quantum telepathy.
Not telepathy, but definitely strange. Entanglement allows quantum computers to do calculations incredibly fast. much faster than our regular computers.
It's like comparing a bicycle to a spaceship.
Hmm.
But what can we actually do with all this speed?
That's the exciting part. It opens up all sorts of possibilities for solving problems that our current computers just can't handle. Breaking complex codes, simulating molecules for drug discovery, optimizing really complex systems, the list goes on.
That's incredible. So quantum computing could really change the world, huh?
It has the potential to, definitely. And we're already seeing some big milestones, like Shor's algorithm back in '94. It showed that quantum computers could crack codes that are basically unbreakable with classical computers.
Mhm.
And then you have IBM's Q System 1, which was the first commercial quantum computer. That came out in 2019.
It seems like we're just scratching the surface with quantum computing. What else do you see happening in the future?
It's hard to even imagine all the possibilities. Maybe we'll revolutionize material science or create completely new drugs with personalized medicine. Who knows? It's a really exciting time to be watching this field.
Okay, let's bring things back down to earth for a moment. Specifically, back to India and the Indian economy.
You're talking about the annual survey of unincorporated sector enterprises.
That's the one. The AEs for 2023-24. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's a really important report for understanding how the Indian economy actually works, especially all those small businesses and enterprises.
It gives us a snapshot of what's happening on the ground outside of the formal sector. It's like looking under the hood of the economy.
What's the latest? Any interesting trends?
Well, the report is actually quite positive. It shows a lot of growth. More businesses, more jobs, even better productivity. It's a sign of a healthy economy, and it shows that people are really embracing entrepreneurship.
That's great news. But it's not just about the numbers, right? What does this mean for people's lives?
It definitely translates to real benefits. The average income per worker went up, which hopefully means better living standards for everyone involved. And there's another encouraging trend. More women are owning businesses.
That's fantastic. A step toward more equality in the economy.
Absolutely. And it's not just traditional businesses that are doing well. The other services sector is booming. That includes everything from IT and consulting to tourism and hospitality. We're seeing more businesses popping up in this area, and their contribution to the economy is growing.
You mentioned their contribution to the economy. Does that mean their GVA?
Yes. Gross value added, that's right. It's basically a way to measure how much value a sector is adding to the economy.
So a higher GVA means they're doing well. Got it. And another thing I noticed in the report, more and more of these businesses are using the internet.
That's a great sign. It shows that digital inclusion is improving. A more connected India means a stronger economy.
So putting it all together, what's the big takeaway from the ACEs? What does it tell us about India's economic future?
Well, it's a really encouraging picture overall. The unincorporated sector is growing and adapting, and that's crucial for creating jobs and driving the economy forward. It shows that the economy is resilient and people are finding new ways to succeed.
It sounds like there's a lot to be optimistic about. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the tiniest organisms to the vastness of space, from erupting volcanoes to the inner workings of the Indian economy. All right, time to wrap up our deep dive with something truly inspiring.
We're talking about the Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puraskar.
That's right. It's all about celebrating the amazing achievements of young people in India.
These awards are a fantastic way to recognize and encourage young talent. It's like a spotlight on the future leaders of India.
Exactly. So, can you give us a quick rundown of what these awards are all about?
Well, they're given to children and young adults up to 18 years old who have done something truly extraordinary.
So not just straight A students.
No, not at all. There are actually 7 categories: art and culture, bravery, innovation, science and technology, social service, sports, and even environment.
Wow, that's quite a range. It shows that excellence can come in so many different forms.
Exactly. The point is to encourage young people to excel in whatever they're passionate about.
It must be such an honor to receive one of these awards. I can only imagine how proud the recipients and their families must be.
Oh, absolutely. The President of India personally awards the winners at a special ceremony. This year, it's happening on December 26th.
That's just a couple of days away. It's a
Yeah.
great way to end the year on a positive note. Now, what are the criteria for receiving this prestigious award?
The main thing is that the recipient has to be between 5 and 18 years old, and they have to have accomplished something really exceptional within the past 2 years. It's incredible to see what some of these young people have already achieved.
It just goes to show the incredible potential of India's youth. They are literally shaping the future.
These young achievers are such an inspiration. They are role models for their peers, and they really make the entire nation proud.
It's like a beacon of hope, right? Seeing these young people achieving their dreams is a testament to the human spirit, to what's possible when we set our minds to it.
I couldn't agree more. Their stories are truly inspiring, and they remind us that age is no barrier to making a difference in the world.
Well said. And with that, we've come to the end of our deep dive for today.
We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? Everything from the depths of the earth to the heights of human achievement.
We've explored the complexities of Indian politics, witnessed the power of nature, delved into the microscopic world of archaea, and even glimpsed the future of technology.
And of course, we've been inspired by the incredible young people who are making a real difference in the world.
We hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought, and maybe even sparked your curiosity to learn more.
Remember, staying informed is key, especially for those preparing for the UPSC. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the issues that shape our world.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow UPSC aspirants.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the latest current affairs.
Until then,
Best of luck on your journey.
take care, and we'll see you next time.